lovers, my name is Curren McLean. I'm the director at the Azle Memorial Library, and I'm here to talk about our new releases in nonfiction and audiobooks. So all you audiobook lovers, stay tuned, get through the nonfiction, and we'll get there. So the first book I want to talk about is for all you people who love comedy. Now, if you like stand-up comedy, you've probably heard of Jim Gaffigan, and he came out with a book last year called Dad is Fat. And well, it's a very self-depreciating type of humor. He wrote a book about fatherhood. He lives in Manhattan with his wife and I believe 5 children who are all under the age of 9 in a 2-bedroom apartment. So you can just imagine the drama that occurs there, and he puts it into his funny perspective. And that book has been a big hit. Well, he just came out with a new book called Food, a Love Story. And if you know his stand-up comedy, he likes food a lot, and so do I. So this is a great book where he just talks about food and eating, and he just rambles on about all things related. So if you want a good laugh, check out Jim Gaffigan's newest books. So next, we're going to get to a little more serious matter. And if you like history, science, anything with court-related drama, believe it or not, this book is going to be for you. And it's called Birdman, The Wright Brothers, Glenn Curtis, and the Battle to Control the Skies. And it is by Lawrence Goldstone. Now, this is a book that talks about aviation history. So on one hand, you've got the Wright brothers, who we all know played a big part in aviation history. They were actually the first to put a patent on the wing and rudder design that they came up with. I believe it's the wing and rudder design. You'll have to check the book to fact check me on that. And then on the other hand, you've got Glenn Curtis, who was the first person to have an officially witnessed flight and the first long distance flight in the US. Now, you've also got all these other players in aviation history who were coming up with their own plane designs and trying to take flight and doing all the things that they did to help this industry grow. Well, the drama comes in with the Wright brothers, who said, well, we have a patent on this. We should be getting royalties, we should be getting credit. They wanted their names in the spotlight. And people like Glenn Curtis and all the other aviation pioneers said, no, this is a new industry. We're all coming up with our own ideas. It's fair game. So they actually had this embroiled court battle that went forever, and it actually hindered the progress of aviation. And it really wasn't until World War I, when planes were desperately needed for the war, that aviation and planes really took off. So if you're looking for a really good historical, biographical, anything in those genres, this is going to be a great book for you. And our next book, we have in both audiobook and regular book at our library. And I just finished the audiobook myself. It's 5 Days at Memorial by Sherry Fink. And this is a very serious book. It's the story of the Memorial Medical Center in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. And right before Hurricane Katrina, as we know, the citizens were ordered to evacuate. Well, hospitals and medical centers had to stay open because they had these patients who were in dire condition, couldn't leave, and they had to have staff on hand to help take care of them. So the Memorial Medical Center, which used to be called Baptist Hospital, it's been there for years and years and years, weathered the storm pretty well. Hurricane Katrina went through, it came, it left. They were fine. They thought, okay, well, we're all right. We made it. But then the levees broke, and that's when things got bad. Their generators were in the basement. They lost power, so patients who had breathing machines and other life-saving devices had no power. They were pretty desperate to evacuate. And as we all know, there were thousands of people trapped in the Superdome. There were thousands of people in the convention center and people on the rooftops. So evacuation was just chaotic, and it wasn't necessarily the fault of any one party, but the author does a good job of taking emails, diaries, personal narratives, and really forming this picture of what happened over those 5 days, mostly at the medical center, but you get a little bit of a glimpse of what's happening in the rest of New Orleans. And the doctors and nurses there had to make some really tough decisions. And once the entire hospital was evacuated and Hurricane Katrina ended, it also goes into about a year or so afterwards where they were investigated because the scary word euthanasia comes up. And it was questionable whether some of the doctors and nurses chose to, let's say, speed up the deaths of some of the patients by injecting certain drugs into them. There were actual criminal charges made against some of those people. There's really no clear-cut answer to this. I think it's one of those questions that even the experts who researched it and dealt with the court didn't really have an answer themselves, because on one hand you're dealing with a dire situation where I wouldn't even know what I would do, but you're also dealing with medical ethics. So this is definitely a book that will make you think. It will give you more information about Hurricane Katrina that you probably didn't know. I know I learned a lot, and I'm still thinking about it and flip-flopping back and forth on, did these doctors make the right decision or not? So check out 5 Days at Memorial and make your own decision. So next, we're going to get into an audiobook that's fiction, and we have Goodnight June by Sarah Geo. Now this is a really cute book. It's one that will also make you think. Now we all know the children's book Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown, and that's a beloved classic, and the mystery there is no one really knows what inspired Margaret Wise Brown to write that book, whether it was something she told her kids or what. So Sarah Geo has done a good job of bringing kind of that mystery into her fiction novel. And the book stars a character named June, who kind of has her busy city corporate life, and her great aunt dies, and her great aunt owned a bookstore. So June has to go and settle her great aunt's estate, and as she's going through the bookstore thinking, oh, I'm going to sell this thing, let's clean it out, let's get it done, she finds these letters that her great aunt wrote to Margaret Wise Brown. And it's revealed in those letters what prompted Margaret Wise Brown to write Goodnight Moon. But at the same time, June learns a lot about her family. She learns how to forgive, how to move on, how to deal with some of the things she's been struggling with. And it's just a nice read that will really make you kind of appreciate it at the end. So check out Goodnight June, not Goodnight Moon, although you can check out Goodnight Moon if you want, by Sarah Geo. And last, I want to mention some audiobooks that we just got at our library, but a lot of libraries across the country have these, so if you aren't in Azle, Texas, check out your local library. But we have some living language audiobooks that you can kind of see behind me. We just got a bunch of these in different languages, and these are really great kits. They come with CDs, and they also come with booklets, so you can read, you can listen, and get all of the learning that you need for a language. We've got one here in Mandarin Chinese, but we've got them in all kinds of languages, so check one out today and learn a new language. So I hope you've enjoyed these nonfiction and audiobook picks, and check back next month for more. Thanks.